Okay, this video seems interesting. Why new players quit Guild Wars 2? Actually, the reason this title caught my attention is because I was a new Guild Wars 2 player, and I ended up quitting the game after 2 months of playing. That being said, as you know me, recently I've been interacting with so many people from the Guild Wars 2 community because I've been starting to make more and more reaction videos learning about this game, and I discovered a lot of fantastic stuff. So I'm actually very interested in hearing what this guy has to say and see how it is relevant to me and share with you my experience and why I ended up quitting after 2 months of playing, which is nothing, right? Because I only covered the core game and I missed out on so many elements too. So I know you guys want me to play this game again. But I have so many things going on, dude. I have so many things. I don't have the time. It's just the reality of having a real life job. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. But I am looking out at, like, I'm looking at this option. I'm not scraping it off the table. I think one day for sure I will play Guild Wars 2, and that day isn't far. I can guarantee you that. I will most likely try this game again sooner than you think. But for now, I'm just gonna watch some Guild Wars 2 video, learn a bit about the game without spoiling anything for myself. And if you guys have any suggestions, just write them down, you know. I actually find some really interesting stuff in the comments.
Guild Wars 2 is one of the most respected and flat-out beautiful MMORPGs on the market.
True.
It's got no mandatory subscription, a gorgeous world, and a community that's been loyal for over a decade. On paper, it's the...
Man, I remember when World of Warcraft used to have that. Well, not the no subscription part, because that was always a thing, but we used to have a community. I mean, nowadays it's just, everything's dead. Nothing is fun anymore.
Perfect game to get your friends into. And yet, it has a reputation for being a revolving door. For every veteran singing its praises, there's a new player who jumped in, got confused, and logged off for good just a few hours later. The problem isn't that Guild Wars 2 is a bad game, it's just a different game.
Exactly, and that's something I say in every single video about this game. And some of you guys hate me so much for it, which, by the way, I completely understand because you guys love this game so much and I can see your passion. But you need to understand that for us vertical gamers, playing a horizontal MMO is like playing a completely different game. It is very different for us, and most people can't really cope with that. They just end up quitting. Myself included.
It's built on a philosophy that
doesn't mean that it's a bad game, it just means that it's not for us.
Goes against every other major MMO has
Hopefully the volume isn't too loud, by the way.
This unique design, while a huge plus for veterans, can be a minefield of frustration for newcomers.
I'll lower it down.
Today we're going to break down why the beginner's journey in Guild Wars 2 can feel so overwhelming, and why so many players leave right before it gets truly magical. Make sure to like the video and subscribe.
So many people have told me that. So many people have told me, dude, you only play the core game. Like, please do the expansions. Please do the expansions. And I think that's mainly the reason why I want to come back. I want to see the game for its full potential. I want to experience everything. And it kind of sucks that, you know, the core game is the lowest point of the game. But at the same time, it's also really exciting because you have so much to look for. So if I'm going to come back, well, I will one day eventually for sure, because I know me. I've seen so many stuff that pretty much have convinced me that I'm going to give this game another go. But when I come back, I really want to make sure I do the expansions, for sure. But I'm gonna start from scratch. I'm not gonna go back on my old warrior. I'm just gonna open a new character.
Channel for more Guild Wars 2 content. The first big hurdle
Most
is something
likely
called
Guardian.
horizontal progression.
I love tanking.
In most MMOs, you're on a clear straight path, what's known as vertical progression. You clear Quest Hub A, then you move to Quest Hub B. Your gear gets better and better, and the numbers always go up. It's a loop that's easy to understand and feels comfortable. Guild Wars 2 just tosses that whole idea out. It's a horizontal progression game. That means once you get a set of max level exotic gear, which is surprisingly easy to do, you're pretty much done with gearing up. This game...
And that also really hurt the power fantasy that us MMORPG player have. Now, I will say this. I know a lot of Guild Wars 2 player don't care about this stuff. I believe that the majority of players do. Now, I don't know if it is because we just inherently greedy as humans, or maybe we have been doggy trained by other video games to just enjoy this type of progression, because it is in literally every game. It's not something that is unique to MMORPGs. But when you play an MMORPG and your power just falls flat, I think most people get annoyed at that. But again, my opinion, guys. You're more than welcome to differ.
The game isn't about an endless treadmill for better stats. It's about giving you more options. The real progressions come from unlocking new skills, finding new places to explore, and mastering different activities. But for a new player, this doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like being dropped in the middle of a huge, beautiful forest without a map or a compass.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that description. That is actually great. So I think that Guild Wars 2 for achievement hunters, which by the way, I'm one of them, is like the perfect playground. I think that if you're an achievement hunter, which is again what I used to be more likely, because nowadays I don't have time, because again I have like all of these real life responsibilities and stuff. But yeah, back in the day, I think that if I played Guild Wars 2 when I was younger, I would have been hooked. For sure. For sure. Nowadays, it feels like I have so much to do that I just end up not doing anything at all.
You see a screen full of icons, hearts, and events, but no big glowing arrow telling you, go here next. Players used to a strict quest line end up feeling totally lost. They just wander from one heart to the next, wondering if they're actually getting anywhere. They see their gear isn't changing much, and they think they've hit a wall. This world, designed for exploration, ends up causing analysis paralysis. There are so many choices that players get overwhelmed and just stop.
Absolutely.
The secret is a shift in mindset. Leveling up isn't a race to the finish. The journey is the game. Progress isn't just about the stats on the screen.
But when you have no finish line, people don't really feel like they're obligated to do something, so they rather do nothing and play a different game. I don't know if it makes sense, but when you don't have a goal to strive for, I think most people will not play the game. And again, this is maybe me just talking out of my ass, but this is genuinely what I believe. I think that people need a finish line. I do really think that. I believe that. Because whenever you have a certain goal in mind, even if this is unattainable by any means, people will still play the game because in the back of their mind, they will think it's a possibility. It's like how you play a game. Let's take a competitive game like CSGO, for example, right? A game which I've played myself for many years of my life. You always dream to reach that 1% of players at high elo, even though you know that your chances going there are slim to none. But in the back of your mind, you think that you can do it, so you strive to get better and reach that finish line. Now, obviously, this is a competitive game, so it's a bit different, but the goal is still the same, right? The idea, the core principle behind it of always striving to become better is present. And in Guild Wars 2, it feels like you don't have that. It feels like at some point you plateau and you just start collecting stuff. Now, again, like I said before, for an achievement hunter, a collector, this is fantastic. This game is the perfect place to be in, but most people aren't like that. Most people do not care about achievements. Most people just want to get more powerful. It's that primate way of thinking of just, I just want to smack stuff harder, but it works. It sells video games, whether you like it or not. And I think most people think like that.
Screen. It's about your own skill and how well you know the world. But the game does a terrible job explaining this, leaving tons of new players to think it's aimless and boring. The second reason that players fail is the absolute avalanche of information this game throws at you. In just the first few hours, you're hit with pop-ups and new systems with barely any real explanation. Crafting,
and also the UI is extremely garbage. I know you guys hate me for saying that. I'm sorry, the UI is outdated. They need to completely throw this UI out of the goddamn window and replace it with a new one. This is horrible. I don't know which games you've played, but if you're telling me that this UI is good, I'm sorry. Like, nah. This is not good. The UI, not the way the game looks. I think some people are confusing. Like, UI is this. By the way, like, the bottom bars are fine. This is bad. This is horrendous. And yeah, they should 100% change that. I know they won't, but, you know, they should. Regardless, yeah, you are being overwhelmed. That is absolutely true. You're being overwhelmed, but I will say this. Guild Wars has done a pretty great job at making you understand what you need to do. I don't feel like I was confused whenever I did something, at least not to my memory. I don't think I ever got lost. But I will say that maybe they could have explained things a little bit better. Personally, for me, I haven't encountered any confusion.
Trading post, a dozen
as far as I
different
remember,
currencies.
except for crafting. Yeah, crafting I did not get at all.
PvP, World v World, dynamic events, meta events, achievements, and a personal story that stops and starts every 10 levels. It's a lot. For a veteran, all this depth is what makes the game so good. For a newcomer, it's a UI nightmare. A lot of players feel like they have to understand everything all at once, which is just utterly impossible. The free-to-play model makes it even worse. New players are constantly jogging past veterans on incredible mounts like the Griffin, the Skyscale, or the Giant Turtles, and they feel slow and clunky by comparison. The game even gives you a 10-hour trial for the Raptor mount, which some players feel is less of a helping hand and more of a sales pitch to get you to buy an expansion. Seeing all the cool stuff.
Well, it's a goddamn good sales pitch, I'll tell you that, because whenever I had that Raptor mount, I was hooked. And I was also... I was just a different person. I never seen mounts the same after playing Guild Wars 2. Whenever I rode a mount in any video game whatsoever, I always compared it to this game, especially in MMOs. Whenever I played Guild Wars 2 before WoW Classic came out, so when I came back to WoW Classic to play it, I just used the mounts, and then I was like, damn, this sucks. It's just bad. After you experience Guild Wars 2 mounting system, you will never be the same.
You don't have can be super discouraging. The real solution, which the game never really tells you, is just to ignore most of it. As a new player, you should really only focus on 3 things: exploring the map, jumping into any orange colored dynamic event you see, and playing your personal story when it's available. All the other stuff, crafting, endgame currencies, complicated builds, will all click into place later. By throwing it all at you from the start, the game makes a lot of people feel like they're failing before they've even really started.
Man, watching his gameplay, I miss Guild Wars 2 combat so bad, dude. Like, I want to come back to the game just for the combat. It was so good. It was truly so good. I played a warrior, man, and I had the specialization with the gun, with like the gunblade thing, because I think gunblades are cool, and I will always play a gunblade whenever I have the opportunity to do so. And it was so damn fun.
If there's one mistake that's guaranteed
I
to
hope
make
Guardian
a
has some
new
really
player
fun
quit,
elite
it
specs.
is using the level 80 boost. It comes with the expansion, and it is presented like a gift, a tempting shortcut to skip all that leveling and get right to the real game. This is hands down the biggest trap in Guild Wars 2. The journey from level 1 to 80 is basically the game's tutorial. It's where you're supposed to slowly learn how combat works, how to explore, and what your class can actually do. Using the boost yanks that entire learning experience away and drops you into high-level zones where everything is way harder. Suddenly, you're fighting tougher enemies with tricky attacks, but now you have a full bar of skills and traits that you've never seen before and have no idea how.
I will say this, if you're using boosts as a new player, I think the problem is on you. It's not really on the game. But maybe giving it to new players is not really such a great idea. I'm not really sure what to say about this, but I never use the boost. Like, I will never use level boost in any video game whatsoever unless I already finished it and I kind of want to just do something very specific.
They work. Surprisingly, the gear set that you get is Celestials, which is one of the very boring and basic. However, it is also tends to be one of the safest ones. So you really shouldn't fear dying in this regard, although it's not super optimized for every build. The general consensus from veteran players is the same. Do not use the level 80 boost on your first character. Save it for the second character long after you've learned the ropes the old-fashioned way. Guild Wars 2 has a fast, fluid, action-packed combat system that feels amazing once you get the hang of it, but it all hinges on a few key mechanics that the game does a surprisingly bad job at teaching you. First and foremost, dodging. That dodge roll isn't just for moving around, it is your single most important survival tool. A lot of enemies have obvious animation that signal a big attack is incoming, and dodging it is how you avoid getting flattened. New players, especially from other MMOs, tend to just stand there and try to soak it, which leads to them dying constantly. Just as important is realizing that you're not out of the fight when your health hits 0. The downstate mechanic gives you a second chance to rally and get back up, but tons of new players just give up and respawn. completely missing a key part of how combat flows. If you strike a killing blow while you are in a down state, you will rally. Or you could simply just heal up all the way to max and then be revived. Finally, you really need to use keybinds. Clicking your skills with a mouse is just way too slow for how active the combat
you
is.
don't do
To
that.
do well, you need to be able to move in.
I think most players come from World of Warcraft and they are kind of used to playing like this. I know I am, because I'm doing like half and half. I usually play with the keys and the mouse, but I have like certain way I position my my cursor and the abilities, and it also really depends on the abilities. Like I'm not putting active stuff on my like mouse, right? Because that would be stupid. Anything with that needs to be quickly accessible, I always put on the keyboard. But I mean, yeah. And regardless, I think most WoW players that come into the game are really shocked by the speed, and they can definitely feel a bit confused. And it's very difficult for them to learn how to utilize the full potential of their keyboard. So I definitely think that that's a really good point he actually brought up. That is absolutely true. But I think all of this can be easily trained. Like just play the game normally.
Attack at the same time. This trifecta of combat basics, dodging, playing the down state, and using keybinds is the difference between feeling weak and feeling powerful. Players who don't get a handle on them often quit, blaming the game for being too hard when they really just were never taught how to fight properly. Now, these are just some of the biggest reasons that players bounce off of the game. If you're someone who's tried Guild Wars 2 and it didn't stick, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. And for all the veterans out there, what is one piece of advice that you would give to every new player? Your tips here might be what helped someone else finally click with this amazing game. So why do so many new players quit Guild Wars 2? It's because the game isn't just asking you to learn new rules, it's asking you to unlearn old ones. It asks you to forget about the step-by-step quest log, the constant gear grind, and the passive standstill combat that defines so many other MMOs. In a lot of ways, it's a game that trusts you to figure things out, but forgets to give you proper orientation.
Absolutely. So before I forget, the point that he just brought up is actually genius. He's absolutely right. It's not a game that forces you to learn something new. It's a game that forces you to unlearn everything you knew about MMOs until that point, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but not everyone is prepared to do so. So I can give you the most perfect example right now. I'm a former League of Legends player, and when I say former, I mean Season 3 gamer, okay? That was way back in the day, if you know League nowadays. So I played for 2 years League of Legends until I got tired of the game, and I really wanted to play a different MOBA game, because I love MOBA games. Like, it's my passion, you know? It's who I am. So naturally, I went to the other big MOBA, which was Dota 2. Now, if you know, Dota 2 and League of Legends are completely different games. They're not even remotely similar, and there's nothing close to them except the fact that they are both MOBAs. That's pretty much it. Now, whenever I tried to learn Dota, I hated that game. I hated it to oblivion, okay? I couldn't stand it. I didn't understand how the mechanics work. I didn't understand why my mana was drained in seconds after casting like 1 or 2 abilities, the courier system, and all of this unrelated stuff that if you're a Dota player, you already know about. And the game just didn't click, okay? But for my own reasons, I kept on playing the game even though I hated it. And lo and behold, nowadays I can fully tell you that I'm a recovered Dota 2 addict. I wasted 7 years of my life strictly playing that game because it was that good. And I think, what am I trying to say here, is basically there is such a high bar to learn, and you also need to shed every single piece of knowledge you had about a certain type of game to learn this new one. And it's the exact same thing with sorry, I don't know what happened to me there. The exact same thing with Guild Wars 2 and other MMOs. Whenever you jump from World of Warcraft to Final Fantasy to New World, which, you know, rest in peace by the way, you always can expect the same similar path, even though there's some different elements, of course, and new thing to learn. You can expect 50% to be the same thing that you know and loves. 50, 60, even 70%. But whenever you play Guild Wars 2, almost every single aspect of the game is different. And now the bar to learn is so high because the game has been existing for so long. And also the bar to learn, like the basics, is extremely high. So many players that come from different MMOs and they think they have the knowledge and they were good come to try out Guild Wars 2 and they go like, oh no, I don't understand anything. I'm out. Like, it's not for me. And I know this because this is what happened to me. So many people have been telling me like horizontal progression is the thing. And in my mind, I'm still a vertical Andy. And it frustrates me because I want to come back to Guild Wars again and enjoy the game to the fullest. But at the same time, I'm afraid that I would not like this game. And it's just a waste of time. But nowadays, it's been so long since I tried this game. It's been literally years. So I think that if I come back to this game now, I'll have a completely different perspective on it. But this is something I'll have to try out for myself. Because again, in my mind, I'm still very much a vertical Andy. I'm still all about that power fantasy. I'm still all about that leveling up and getting new gear and all that stuff and getting more powerful. And I know it makes a past expansion completely irrelevant. That being said, I think that there are many ways that Blizzard can fix this problem with World of Warcraft. But they won't do that. So I'm pretty much forced to play something else. Because I am looking for a good MMORPG to hook me in. Nowadays, everyone's banking on Ashes of Creation. But I don't think that's gonna happen, Chief. And I should probably just try out Guild Wars 2 again. That's what I was trying to say. Many people are so confused when they come into the game, and I think I just got confused. So I want to try this game again with a fresh perspective. That's why I explicitly said that I'm going to open a new character. I don't want to go back into my old warrior because it will get me even more confused. And I want to experience everything from scratch. Maybe the experience will be different for me.
Frustration new players feel is completely valid. Absolutely. The overwhelming systems, the lack of a clear path, and the temptation of using a level 80 boost are the real hurdles. Yeah. But on the other side,
I think that the lack of the clear path is also what scared me, and other new players as well. I mean, the fact that you don't have a really consistent dungeon, like pathway, is really problematic because you have some really neat dungeons. I have done a few dungeons and they were great, they were awesome, but I really didn't understand what I was doing. It was so weird. I remember the dungeon with a ghost. You had like, you play like in a human zone and you had all of these ghosts and stuff. I'm sorry I'm forgetting the names. I have absolutely no idea. It's been so long ago. I'm pretty sure you guys understand which one I'm talking about. So, by the way, the reason I remembered is because of these guys, like these ghosts. I think it was in their area. So you had like the dungeon and so many ghosts and stuff, and I enjoyed that. It was fun. Like, these stuff are interactive, especially the world bosses that I've seen. I want to do so many of them, but it's just confusing because the game doesn't tell you anything. It just kind of, oh, look, here's a thing, like, go do that. And you don't really understand what the hell is going on. The game does a really poor job at explaining to you what you need to be doing. And like the guy in the video said, veterans already know what to do, but new players don't. Now, you can ask for guidance, but again, most people won't do that. Most people like to figure out things on their own, and that also includes myself. That being said, I'm not really shy of asking for help, but I don't think a good game should make you ask for any assistance. I think a new game would make it pretty clear what you need to do at which time, and Guild Wars 2 is kind of lacking when it comes to new player experience, for sure.
Out of the confusion is one of the most beautiful, rewarding, and fair MMO worlds ever made. It's a game where you are not just chasing a carrot on a stick. You're free to make your own adventure and play exactly how you want. It doesn't hold your hand, but if you give it a real chance and go in with an open mind, you'll find that the destination was never the point. The journey was everything. If you are just getting started here with Guild Wars 2, click this video here to go ahead and see the complete beginner's
yeah, okay, seems like that's the end of the video. Great video, by the way. I have absolutely no idea how I turned an 8-minute video into like 24-minute, but, you know, that's my superpower. Just to yap and never shut the hell up. But I guess this is what I'm trying to do here. So anyway, I really hope that you guys understood what I was trying to say here. Regardless, I'm gonna leave you a link in the description for this guy video because it was a great video. Give him a like and a sub. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I just feel like I was overwhelmed. He hit every nail on the head here, like literally, like it was so good. Each point he made was absolutely true. As a new player who quit the game, I've absolutely felt that. And, you know, maybe the problem is just us. I really think that the MMO community has been doggy trained to like verticality, and they never really want to come out and experience something new. But at the same time, I do feel like the power fantasy is so important. And that's what Guild Wars 2 is lacking. Because you just lack that power. And it just, again, goes back to this primal thing of having to bunk the strongest. It sounds so stupid, but I think this is what, like, us WoW players think, like. Maybe it's because we're apes inside, but regardless, it's what I believe. Anyway, great video. Fantastic video.